There's a moment I think of often. Two men in their 70s were sitting on a bench at a county fair. One of them had a cane, the other a belly that pushed his shirt buttons to the limit. A pair of kids ran past, hollering about something or other, and the heavier man looked over at the other and said, "You remember when we could do that?" The other man just grinned, looked off into the sun, and said, "Nope." And they both burst out laughing. Nothing too fancy, just a bench, a fair, a little sunshine, and a chuckle that got loose. That laugh stayed with me, not because it was clever, but because it was true. And in that truth was something sacred, something holy, a kind of wholeness wrapped up in foolishness, something we were made for. Laughter has a way of slipping past the gates, past the bitterness, past the shields. It walks right through the front door and sits down in the middle of a guarded soul, as if it had been invited, and maybe it was. Because the body knows what the mind won't always admit. We need to laugh. We need to laugh so we don't lose our grip. We need to laugh so we remember we're not machines. We need to laugh because life is heavy and strange and brutal and beautiful, and sometimes there's nothing else to do with it but hold it gently and laugh a little. Now, I've known people who thought laughter was a waste of time. They were always trying to solve everything, always trying to carry the weight of the world on their shoulders. You could see it in their eyes, like there was a ledger behind their forehead and nothing ever quite balanced. These folks didn't laugh. They smiled politely, sure. They nodded. They maybe gave you a tight smirk now and again. But a belly laugh, a wheeze, a surrender to joy? No, not that. They didn't laugh and they didn't cry either. And that's no accident. Because in my experience, those two things, laughter and weeping, are sisters. They live on the same floor of the soul. Both of them are a kind of honesty. Both of them are a release. And both of them say, this matters, this moves me, this is real. And maybe the biggest truth of all, I don't control everything. A laugh is an admission. It says, okay, fine, I give in. That's absurd. That's wild. That's hilarious. You got me. It cracks the shell. And sometimes that's all a person needs to remember. They're still human. Children know this better than anyone. They laugh with their whole bodies. No apology. No shame. No measuring the moment. If it's funny, they laugh. If it's fun, they jump in. They haven't learned yet that some people think joy is suspicious. But some adults, they forget. They grow suspicious of anything that looks too easy, as if suffering is the only legitimate emotion, as if grief is more noble than delight. But let me say this plainly, fun is not a sin. Laughter is not a betrayal of seriousness. Joy is not a denial of sorrow. They live together, they belong together. A funeral needs a good story. A hospital room needs a joke. A family dinner needs someone who still remembers how to play. Because if there's no laughter, we're just surviving. And surviving alone is not the same as living. And here's something else. Laughter makes us brave. I don't mean fake laughter. I don't mean the kind that masks pain or avoids truth. I mean the kind that roots you deeper in the ground of your own smallness. The kind that says, I'm not in charge of this world, but I am alive in it, and that's enough to make me laugh sometimes. I've seen men on the edge of death chuckle about old jokes they could barely finish. I've seen women who had lost everything throw their heads back and laugh at the way their hair looked after a storm. And every time, it wasn't just beautiful. It was strong. That laugh wasn't weakness. It was proof they hadn't been broken yet. So if anyone ever tells you laughter is foolish, let them carry their sorrow without balance. Let them keep their ledger. But you, don't forget to laugh. And when the time is right, when the joke catches you just right, or a moment turns sideways, or a memory comes back with teeth and you can't help but double over and weep with joy, don't hold it in. That's medicine. That's sacred. That's one of the few things on this earth that can't be faked. A real laugh is a rebellion, a reminder, a resurrection. And it belongs to us. So laugh, friend. It's good for the soul.